my name is Ashling Antolin. I'm with MUSE TV, and I am joined by singer, songwriter, producer, and gold record owner, Skrizzly Adams. Thank you so much for being here with me today. So my first question is, you released your debut album in November of last year.
Yep.
Too Close to Fire is the debut single for your next album. What do we have in store for album 2? What are we looking at?
For sure. Just timeline-wise, the first album came out in November 2019. The first single, Too Close to Fire, came out June 26, 2020. I think the goal, and I don't want to make any promises, is for the second album to come out in spring 2021. Definitely expect like a steady stream of singles. So I'd say every 6 to 8 weeks. I wouldn't expect longer than that. There'll be a single, maybe 6 singles, maybe 7 singles, something like that, and then we'll drop the album. And I don't know, it's very much it's like life. It's a balance of strategy and spontaneity. So I mean, it's a bit of a plan, but I'm gonna kind of just see what happens and react accordingly. I mean, musically, I think you can tell that Too Close to Fire is very different from the first album, and I think definitely we've opened that sonic door with the new single, and I think a lot more sonic doors are going to be opened with following singles. But yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That's so exciting. Has quarantine been difficult for you to be creative? Are you still, is it been easier?
It's a different day, honestly.
Yeah.
It's been no different for me. I mean, I have my own private studio office, and other people aren't in it. So it's kind of all the same for me. I wake up in the morning, I drive here. I guess my life is pretty antisocial to begin with. So I wake up, I drive here, I make music, I go home and go to bed, and I do that over and over again. So it hasn't really affected me. I do a lot of work with a songwriting partner of mine named Bryce Fox, and he lives in Nashville. And I think for the first couple months of quarantine, I didn't visit him, but he kind of is like me. He wasn't really dealing with other people. So when I visited him, we kind of trusted each other, and I've seen him a couple times during quarantine, and it hasn't slowed me down. If anything, it's sped me up. You know,
that's so great. Have you been able to be inspired just going from back and forth to the studio? Like, what does keep you inspired, I guess?
It's a really, really, really good question. I mean, I like to believe being inspired is a choice. I think like being able to write songs consistently is a choice, or at least at my age. I know when you get older, it gets difficult. So if I'm, feeling uninspired, that's my fault. I mean, it's just like life in general. I mean, even though maybe I might not be as social with other people or whatever, I mean, there's just, what is it, the expression? I mean, life, the human experience is like an endless pool of creative resources and inspiration. So I've found no problem finding new stuff to write about and just kind of doing what I do. And if I ever were to find myself, I'd kick myself in the butt and just figure it out, So I've had no problems, but that's me.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that this has been a time where it doesn't bring you down. I know a lot of people have been kind of struggling with a time like this, but as an artist, I'm sure it's even better for you at this time because you get to take more time to yourself and you don't have to have appearances or concerts.
Totally.
And I know that you're a very grateful person to your fans. I was able to go through your Twitter. I see you have multiple things on there, being so thankful for them and the things that they do. You even said like you know that there's a background team that puts together a record, but you think that your fans make a hit record.
Oh yeah. Did I say that? That's great because I always say that in real life. Yeah. No, I think it was like a Pharrell Williams interview. I mean, so I'm not gonna take credit for it. There was like a Pharrell Williams interview I saw, and he just kind of explained like we're in such a funny business where it's like, yeah, I mean the consumer makes a hit record. We don't really make the hit record. I mean, there's literally nothing between a record that sells 10 copies and a record that sells 10 million copies other than the fact that the consumer chose to make a hit record. Like I said, with the gold plaque I have, I mean, I didn't do anything to differentiate that from anything I've done with anything else. It just happened to, it was in Germany and Switzerland and Austria. It just happened to really resonate. So that was a choice of that population of people. So not really my responsibility. So I think it's really no different than any other job. I mean, I think people tend to glorify musicians or people, especially if they're, on a much grander scale of success. Like at the end of the day, it really is just a matter, I'm sure for Ed Sheeran or someone like that, the same thing. It's just a matter of just showing up and kind of working every day. So all my answers are really unromantic. I'm sorry, but it's literally just a matter of just showing up and kind of working every day and working through it. And if you have to get 12 songs done, you kind of just got to get 12 songs done. And with that being said, I think there's often like a lack of like romantic conviction in me saying that you'd like to believe that making music is this profound, spiritual exhaust of emotion, where I'm saying no, it is that, but it still is. You have to just kind of show up and work it out. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, I do also think that people look at musicians at these whole different types of being, but I don't know. I mean, I know you have a great voice, but I sound like a dying cat if I tried to open my mouth. So I think that's why people glorify all of that, and everything comes out in music, and it's so amazing. But the fact that you're so grateful to your fans, I think, is so amazing, because I feel like there's a lot of musicians that forget about that. How do you go about staying connected with your fans?
I mean, I think I've opened Pandora's box where there's just so many of them in my life. I know I respond to every message I get from everybody all day, and I love that. I mean, I'm super neurotic, so like I kind of enjoy it, and sometimes it gets overwhelming, but I guess a lot of artists are just kind of afraid to face that boundary. And like, once you get to know the human story behind, whether it's a dozen people or, 12,000 people, like, you just begin to understand like, I don't want to say demographic, I hate that word, but you understand your demographic better. I remember I once did this like really small event in Madison, Wisconsin, where like, it wasn't even like a concert. It was just like 100 people, and like we set up like buffalo wings and like alcohol, and like I just played like an acoustic set. It was more like a hangout than it was a concert. And I remember like I was explaining it to my mom, I think it was, and it was funny because it was like, it's just so cool to see so many people get along. And I think, it would be selfish for me to say they're getting along because they enjoy my music. It's not the point. It's like like-minded. It's the idea of bringing together like-minded people. You know what I mean? Like I nerd out about my favorite artists with a lot of my fans because we're like-minded people, So I think that's kind of where it comes from, that like, once you let them in and like, you understand that you're, obviously you all have your differences, not everyone's the same, but that you're like-minded people. I don't know I think it's a win-win on both sides, to be honest. I mean, obviously, like, I do get a ton of messages that I can't answer every 5 minutes, but I try my best to communicate, and I hope to not lose touch with that, because that's like the best, another horrible word, but that's the best market consumer research there is. Just like being a politician, I hate that word also, but like, you're like on the ground connecting and understanding what's working and what's not,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my last question for you is,
Sure.
You have over 65 million streams on Spotify right now, and 85 million streams across all the platforms. What would you say to your younger self who is making music in your dorm room?
I mean, I'd say just don't stop. I wouldn't need myself to tell me that, because I didn't stop. I mean, just don't stop. Just keep doing it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I never really have been discouraged, I guess. It's like, I just like making music. So that's why I'm here in the studio now, just making music. It's not the most romantic answer, but just keep going.
That's so
I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
Good, and I hope not. Your music is amazing. Personally, my favorite songs of yours are Call It Like It Is and Talking About. So
nice, awesome.
Really like those songs. I know it was a feature, but I also liked Our Way. That was a great song as well.
Oh, nice. That's great. Thank you. That's sick.
Thank you so much for being with me today. I really, really, really appreciate it. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and can't wait for album 2 next spring.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon, okay?